Snoop Nasty.
We started.
We up.
Here we go.
Live in the flesh.
Back in action.
Back at it.
Sad, but still happy to be here. Ultimately, still
man.
sad from
Kinda
Sunday.
mixed emotions today.
It's been a rough few days, for Cleveland fans and Falcons fans. I ended up turning the football game off at probably about the third, fourth quarter. Actually, I think, yeah. It was.
I had to see it through, but it was tough, man. It was real tough. Real tough to watch us get thracks like that. But maybe they needed to have that happen. Maybe both of us needed to have a loss like that so we can kind of bounce back and get right and, some little humble juice. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, it
Big
was
40
bad.
piece.
I kept watching I was watching Red Zone, so it was bouncing around. And I was streaming the Cleveland game. So, but every time I'd watch the Red Zone, I'd look up and it's like, oh, we're going over to the Cowboys-Falcons game. It's like big play by the Cowboys or touchdown by the Cowboys. I'm like, ooh, God,
every time.
Control. I had a feeling Dak would bounce back and be better than, he was last week, but I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Cowboys have a better team than us. I just hate the fact that we let Dan Quinn's defense just shut us out the entire game outside of the first quarter. That's the part that stung because it's like, well, damn. I mean, he was our head coach. He was doing a defensive coordinator at the same time. Maybe it was a personnel, not necessarily the scheme that he was putting together.
But
that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Plus 5 years with the same quarterback, you kind of figure out what makes him tick, what he likes, what he doesn't like. So even if you're a defensive guy, you can still know, oh, well, this is the face of my team. And he's got no more Julio. It's like, okay, all right, now let's see. I know what you can do. I know what you can do, this and the other, so I can kind of dial it up that way.
Pretty much. So, I mean, he played a perfect game, damn near. Only allowed 3 points, and our defense allowed 40 points. So, it got ugly real fast, but hoping to bounce back to tomorrow, actually, because we played the Patriots in the A. So hopefully we'll bounce back. Gonna see what Mac Jones talking about. So we'll see.
Oh, the Patriots. They just burned me big time.
Speaking of the Patriots.
Big time.
Tell me how you feel.
I was sitting there watching it, and I'm, it's not like I'm an offensive coordinator, but once you watch enough football, you kind of have an eye on these things. And I played enough Madden in my life, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, so my defense is getting beat like a bad habit. Seems like every play, it's at least bare minimum 5 to 7 yards. I mean, they just marched up the field like they wanted to. No problems whatsoever. They're moving the ball without any issues. And I keep paying attention. And I'm like, Josh McDaniels is running about 5 plays, the entire game. Maybe it's from one side to the other. Maybe it's, it's slightly different just to kind of show a different look, but ultimately still the same routes. And it's just like Joe Woods, our defensive coordinator, is like, oh my God, what are they doing? We don't know what's going on. I mean, Miles got his sack. Okay, so that always helps. He's going to get his sack. He's going to get his. But, I mean, it was just like the same plays over and over and over again. It's like same running back. If it's not inside, if it's not right up the middle between the guard and the center, it's outside, bounced off between the tackle and the guard. It's basically the same. Whether you're going left, whether you're going right, doesn't matter. That running back just ate. I mean, big time. And he's a rookie. Yeah, he just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, what are we doing? And then Mac Jones is just dropping dimes. And so you got to think, is it's like, apparently we had like, apparently contrary to what you see score wise, we've got like a top 3 or top 5 defense like in the league. Like our defense is
That and
legit.
that's what surprised me with that score, because I'm like, hold on, the Browns are loaded on both sides of the ball. So the fact that they even was even to put up that many points and it wasn't a shootout, it was pretty much like a whooping. I was very surprised by that.
So
Very
like I'm
surprised.
sitting there, I'm like, oh, first drive, we marched down like it's nothing. I'm like, here we go. Let's do this. And that was the only highlight of that game. Was the first drive. That's it. We got 7, and I was like, bet we're going. This is gonna be good. And then it ended 45-7. And I'm like, what happened? What happened? And so Baker's basically hobbling around the field, right? And he can't figure anything out. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know like what's going on with him. You know, I don't know if it's his injuries or, you know, maybe, you know, that magic is gone. You know, who knows? You know, I've kept saying that, you know, Stefanski is probably going to replace him in the offseason, or, you know, they're not going to pay him at all. He'll probably end up like a Trubisky, you know, and people
You
even
think so?
talked about bringing Trubisky in. Yeah, I don't, the way, I mean, he really keeps, I mean, he's beat up. I'll give him that. I mean, broken bone, you know, torn up shoulder, his foot's messed up, now his knee's screwed up. He still wants to play. And it's like, dude, like, just take a breather. Take a couple weeks off. You know, we get Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back. Like, sit down. Let Case Keenum handle it, because all he's going to do is say, hey, let's get on this Chubb train. I'm just going to hop on the
For
back,
real.
and we're just going to let it ride. So
Exactly,
the
which
end
I
of
don't
this
blame him
season
for
for Cleveland's definitely going to be interesting, because for sure, probably day after the season ends, Joe Woods is going to get fired if he doesn't get fired before the end of the year. Our DC
and Joe Woods is your what?
our DC, our defensive coordinator.
Okay.
So he's going to get fired
Okay.
hands down, because you've got too much defense and too much talent tied into that defense to be letting what you've let happen. I mean,
Especially Mac
40
Jones.
points, you know, for sure. I mean, within a few weeks of each other. You know, Justin Herbert, okay, that's one thing. But then you let Mac Jones drop a 40 piece on you, like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
And both those games were winnable. If you're a Browns fan, both those games are winnable.
Especially the Chargers.
I feel like, and the thing is, the Chargers are better than the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
So to allow both of them to do that it's tough. But on the end, be grateful, because my MVP, been a starter for years on years, had a 9.1 QBR, 117 yards, 2 interceptions, no TDs.
Oh, Matty Ice.
And Baker Mayfield ain't an MVP. Matty Ice an MVP. And my man had a 9.1 QBR.
This was supposed to be like a year for Baker. Like, this was supposed to be.
This
it.
was his proven year.
And you know, you could probably argue that he kind of has done this to himself, because he didn't have to throw that block. So he didn't have to mess up his shoulder. But it happened.
Yeah, I don't even know why he even tried to block him that hard. Which you thought he was gonna lay him down or something?
The knee issue, and the, you know, people are, oh, well, the injuries. It's like, yeah, that's pro football, man. You got to deal with injuries. You got to let it ride. Like, it sucks that Nick Chubb, you know, goes down. He has 137 yards the week before. Now he's got COVID, so he can't play. You know, Kareem Hunt messed up. You know, so Nick Chubb will probably be back next week, and possibly even Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, I would imagine, probably be on a snap count. I think Nick Chubb would just like throw him in and let go on, because Dearness Johnson's really, you know, even though we got beat pretty bad, Dearness Johnson still put up like 96 or 99 rushing yards on top. I think he had like 150 total yards at the end of the game. Like, he actually played. He was probably the highlight of it. And so there's a lot of issues now in Cleveland. So you actually have, on top of that loss, because that was a game, now you've got a few things. Well, people are going to question Stefanski. I wouldn't question Stefanski right now. Could he have?
He's a good coach.
Should he pass off some play calling sometimes? Maybe. Okay. You know, he wants to stick with it. He's an offensive guy. Okay. your defensive coordinator's garbage. So that they've been calling for Joe Woods' head since last season. So they're gonna, they're gonna throw him out the door, right? Your playoff hopes, because now you can't even beat Pittsburgh. After that week 1 we lost to the Chiefs, I was like, okay, we look good. I'm not worried about anybody. Now I'm worried about everybody. I'm
Yeah.
even worried about the Lions, and they haven't won a single thing. Now they've tied Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh beat us. We got Lamar.
Exactly.
We got Lamar, then a bye, and then Lamar again. Like, I don't. We still have to play the Steelers again. Still have to play the Bengals again, and I don't see us.
And all those games are going to be tight.
I think we can beat the Steelers again.
Real tight game.
Baker has the Bengals numbers, so hopefully that's the last game of the season, so that could really have playoff implications. But Lamar
that's
twice,
what I'm saying.
Unless Joe Woods decides to do exactly what Miami did to the Ravens, which is all possible. If he can shut Lamar down, I mean, maybe we can win at least one of those if we split the season series. So, that's if we split it, if say we beat the Bengals again, and then we beat the Steelers and split the series with the Ravens, I mean, that gives us 3 more wins. Outside of it. Say we beat the Lions also. All right, that's 4 more wins. So now we're a 9-win team right now, minus anything else. So playoffs could still be there, but the AFC's tough.
Yep. I mean, really, if you start to look at it, luckily, everybody else in that same division has also been taking losses. There is not one claim to fame. This is a guaranteed team to clinch this division. That's going on right now. What is Cleveland like? Maybe a game behind, maybe 2 games behind, a game and a half.
Yes, we're
not too far off
behind Pittsburgh, mainly because they tied.
I think now Baltimore is what, 7-2?
No, they're 6-3.
6-3, yeah. So y'all are right there in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice to beat the Patriots and been what y'all have been 6-3 at that point, or 6-4.
Yeah, 6-4.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been.
Now to put you at a better spot, because now y'all what, 5-4 right now?
No, we're 5-5 right now.
Yeah, 5-5. Yeah. So I think everybody else in that same grouping is like right around that same number, because
we're in 4th place.
Yeah. The Cincinnati is what?
They think they're 5-4, but they were just on their bye, so they're gonna come off fresh.
Yeah. So, but they started off the year hot and lost 2 of the last 3.
Yeah, they lost to the Jets, and then we beat the mess out of them.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, you never know. They're gonna try to split one with y'all to keep their hopes alive. Yeah. So every game that's in y'all division is going to be critical. Same with us on our end, because we still got to go through Tampa again. We got to play Carolina again, and we got the Saints again. Plus, on top of playing the Bills and other contenders that's along the way.
So now, so we've got in Cleveland also. Now it's the fact of people are, all the fans. There's still fans that are gonna, back him. Of course, you got to ride with your guy, but there's now fans that are like, hey, is this really our guy? And people are like, maybe not, but a lot of people are like, oh my God, we lose Baker. We're going to, the world's going to end. It's going to burn to the ground. We're going to go back to what we were for the past 20 years. And it's like, it's time out here, boys. I mean, you could probably make something happen. There's going to be a few veteran quarterbacks on the move. You could probably make something. And then.
But who would you get, though?
You already know exactly.
Because Baker's young.
You already know exactly
That's the best.
I want.
Who?
I want Russell. Russell wants out of Seattle.
Now if y'all had the chance to get Russell,
that's a Super Bowl.
Baker. It was hell yeah.
I'll gladly give up Baker.
Yeah,
I'd gladly give up Baker and 3 first-rounders, maybe a second-rounder or 2.
Yeah, because you get somebody of that caliber, you going.
Oh yeah,
they got so many weapons for you not to go.
Yeah, so then you've got Jarvis is now questioned. He's like, I don't know why I'm not getting the ball. It's like, oh great, OBJ just
you lose out. Odell and Jarvis, my boy. It's a common denominator in that equation,
and it's already kind of the common denominator. So you've got there's a lot of problems in Cleveland. We thought the second half of the season playoffs were like, hell yeah, we're going to barrel into this next season. Like, we're going to be rolling right along. Ain't nobody going to stop us. And now it's like so many questions are popping up. It's like, what?
I mean, yeah, because you got to think about it. If you're a Cleveland Brown fan, You have to make up your mind now. Is this my franchise quarterback? Because if you're gonna lock him in for at least 4 years, and you're gonna be dealing with 4 years of this, and you're gonna say, uh man, did we make the right decision? Is this guy really us? Do we want him out? Because I've been on that end of the stick. When we were trying to get Matt Ryan on the second deal that he's on now currently, I was like, yeah, sign him. He's doing good. We just came back from the Super Bowl. Let's run it. $150 million later, if I know what I know now, I'd have been like, let's reconsider. Not saying that Matt Ryan's a bad quarterback, because he's not a bad quarterback. It's just in situations. What you do in certain situations that can make win or lose a game, I need you to make the right decision. Because I look at Matt Ryan like I look at a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. Not that he's better than these dudes. It's because you're an MVP. So I put you on an MVP level. And if you're not playing up to the MVP, I'm gonna have some words.
That comes back
as a fan.
That comes back to you again. When you look back at that MVP, you go, well, is it the player or is it the personnel? And so
It's
we
both.
look at, he played really well, but how much of it was Matt Ryan and how much of it was Shanahan? Now,
That's why I said
Shanahan
both,
put the plays in there, so Matt Ryan had to make it happen, but Shanahan put him in a system that he could make it happen.
Could work with anybody. Exactly.
Yeah, he could make it happen.
And that's how I feel, but the things that Matt Ryan was doing versus what he's doing now is two completely different things. Yeah, we have less talent. The O-line is bad, but the O-line was bad our Super Bowl year.
No, the O-line was the best you guys had in a while. That's right before they dropped off, because Jake Matthews was playing well. You guys still had Alex Mack, who left Cleveland, so you had the best center in the league at the time. I mean, you for sure, your left tackle and center locked up right there for sure were good. Then Jake Matthews got paid, and for some reason he started to go downhill. Alex Mack is like, peace, I'm out. And then it started to go. It started to go to hell.
Now.
So
you gotta still, and I'm willing to bet that that Matt Ryan sacks wasn't too far off from what he was then. It's just the only reason was we ran better plays to get the ball out of his hand faster. That way he couldn't get sacked. So we really don't know if that was a better O-line or if the play scheme was quick little drops, because we were literally running plays that was out of Matt Ryan's hands and 2-3 reads, boom, it's out, and we off to the races. Or we running a bootleg and he not even worried about being in the pocket no more. And we've kind of got away from that. I'm not saying that the play calling now, I think the play calling now is just as good as the Kyle Shanahan. I don't think we have the personnel in the wide receiver core to get that enough spacing to make it look good. Because Matt Ryan's holding on to the ball too long, and I'm not 100% sure if it's receivers not getting open enough or him not making a read on time and getting the sack, because he still only got 3-4 seconds in the pocket anyway, which every quarterback in the league only, if you get more than 4 seconds, 5 seconds in the NFL as a quarterback right now, you have the best O-line in the league.
Cleveland was getting
getting that type of time?
Cleveland.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're getting 1 or 2 seconds, your O-line trash. If you're getting 3 to 4 seconds per play, you got a decent O-line.
Cleveland.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got a decent O-line, because I can tell you right now, Matt Ryan's probably going through 2, maybe 3 progressions before pressure is like legit in his face, or he's already sacked or threw it away.
Yeah.
Which I would much rather him throw it away, because it seems like he takes the sacks in times where we don't need a sack. Like, we just need you to throw it away, do something with it besides a sack.
Well, the one thing you guys had your Super Bowl year versus what you have now is you had 2 running backs playing at the top of their game. Now you got Cordero Patterson, which Cordero Patterson's, he's playing for a Pro Bowl. All right, but Cordero Patterson, he's not playing at running back every play. He's running back. He's playing wide receiver. He's just all over the place.
Returner.
So you really don't have a designated running back. You've got
we got Mike Davis.
You've got like a multi-tool kind of guy in Cordero Patterson. Your main receiver for sure is Kyle Pitts, because he's just getting better and better as the weeks go on. I mean, we knew what he was going to be, and we know what he's going to be. We knew what he was going to be coming out of college, and it took a couple weeks, but then he had that game of 163 yards, and we're like, oh, okay.
He ready.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Now we're
they made him look good on tight end day.
Yeah. Now we're good. But even then, he's tight end wide receiver. Like, he's one of the only that's like, I think,
built like that.
Yeah, built like that. That's going to be able to run either all wide out or
Run tight
or
end.
run tight end. Yeah. Travis Kelce, George Kittle, even Austin Hooper. These guys are Mark Andrews. I mean, these guys right here, they're lining
Are
up.
true tight ends.
They're lining
Yeah,
up
they're
right at
true
the end
tight
of the
ends.
offensive line, maybe a few steps out, and they're going out. They're going to run the short routes. Travis Kelce runs deeper. Travis Kelce and George Kittle run deeper routes, I will say, but ultimately
Yeah.
they're running the short routes and they're the safety valve. Or I mean, Travis Kelce being he could be a primary route depending on the play.
Yeah, I mean, but both those guys are
But
like
Kyle
top of their
Pitts is
game.
like, okay, we're gonna run you right there, or they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna run you out wide like you're Julio Jones, and we're gonna need you to take off, and he'll put the burners on and beat everybody.
Yep. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and there's other little things that I could say, but at that point, I feel like I'll be nitpicking, and I'm at this point. We're gonna have to give it some more time because I need to see who Arthur Smith, who he actually brings in, because we're still technically playing with Dan Quinn guys. So I want to see who he's gonna bring in to make fit this personnel scheme that he's trying to
He
work. So
has to
I'm gonna
get a
give
running
it.
back. He has to have a
Yeah,
running back.
but you can get running backs anywhere. I mean, you can get him in a draft. I mean, we can go get the dude from the.
Like
You said what?
if Arthur Smith came up and was like, "Hey, I'll give you, X for whatever." If he went to Cleveland and said, "Hey, I want Kareem Hunt," Falcons are a different team because now I've made Kareem Hunt a number one running back. Your offense is completely different.
Maybe, but we still got this O line issue. You can't run the ball without a good O line.
Yeah,
The Cleveland Browns O line is legit. Y'all are a very decent O line.
Yeah, but the beauty
So
of
it makes
Kareem
it
Hunt,
seem like guys are doing good.
Nick Chubb's got stupid speed, but he's just a downhill runner. He's just going to barrel through
Yeah.
you. Kareem Hunt, if you watch him, he's pretty shifty. So if
he's a finesse player.
If it collapses down, I mean that dude can shimmy around and everything like that, and still make what should have stopped at the line of scrimmage 5-10 yards, and he can still make it happen. You boost that offensive line just a little bit, maybe a couple more key components, one or two more players just to boost a little bit more, and you give Matt Ryan now access to play action, maybe some RPOs. Yeah, your offense changes, and now things get serious again.
Yeah,
so I think that's what Arthur Smith is lacking is, he had the tight end and he had receivers in Tennessee, but he also had Derrick Henry. Which
exactly that took up a lot of attention.
Yeah, and AJ Brown is a really really good receiver.
Yeah, they literally load the box because Derrick Henry's in the backfield,
and then I get AJ Brown out wide
one-on-one opportunities.
Like, AJ Brown just eats. But I mean they're
So I mean, but like I said, we're gonna have to take some time, really get it together. I mean, looking at my schedule. Knowing what I know now, I was still thinking this is a 10-win team. I still think they can get 10 wins, but they gotta show me a lot more than what I've been seeing the last couple weeks. We can't keep doing a win one week, lose the next week, win 1 week, lose the next week. Like we have to go on a run. We at least got to get 2 or 3 in a row, and then maybe lose one, maybe get 2 more again. Because at this point, the NFC is just as tight as the AFC as far as trying to fill them spots up for the playoffs, and a 9-9 or a 9-8 may not get you in the playoffs this year.
Well, see now, like you and I had talked about before, what I think everybody knew is now the AFC's become interesting again, right? So now that guy in Kansas City is now back on because he just hung 41, and 406 yards. I think he had 5 touchdowns to go along with it.
Yeah,
right?
Going crazy.
So he came back in. He went 1 week, I think it was last week or the week before. He went from 4th in their division to 1st. All right,
easily
off of like 1 win.
Okay? 2. So I think it was like 2 games. Yeah.
So now he's come back in. Chiefs are relevant again. They've never not been relevant, but the Chiefs are now relevant again. They're going to keep going. Okay, so the only thing what's made the AFC interesting now is with Baltimore losing. All right, Steelers tying, Cleveland losing. Okay, so it's AFC North. We've got questions there. But now we go on the flip side, and now you've got the Bills who are just like they're just going and it's just like a grown man beating up a little kid. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna go in. So now Josh Allen's gonna be back in MVP talks, even though he's not playing anybody. Anyway, we're gonna get out of that conversation. So the Chargers are Chargers are NFC, aren't they? No, they're AFC.
They're AFC.
They lost. Okay, so that gets kind of interesting, right? The Titans are still in there. Okay, they make
Titans actually look a
things
lot better.
interesting, right?
They look a lot better right now. I'm not even gonna lie
I think
to you.
this week, Kansas City's back where they're going to be, and I think Kansas City's going to keep rolling it because now Patrick Mahomes it took him a few weeks, but now he's like, okay. Him and Andy Reid sat down and talked, and we're like, okay, take a deep breath. Let's stop trying to be gunslinger and get the 40-yard plays every time. Hit the short routes. Hit the easy plays. And that's how he was able to rack them up. He just kept going and going, and he just took what was open to him. And it's like, okay, all right, here we go. Let's, we're going to have to adjust. People kind of figured out how to beat us or at least compete with us. So let's adjust. Let's get back to what we are, right? So then, all right, so then we've got another shakeup here, big time. Carolina's come in. This is where Falcons get interesting, all right? Now we look at, okay, there's no Kyler Murray again and no D-Hop again. So last week we're like, hey, Cardinals are still a pretty good team. Now, Panthers come in, beat them like a bad habit too. Bad. And so it's like, okay, now where do the Cardinals fall in all this? Cowboys come back. We know what the Cowboys are going to be. Cowboys are going to be a good team, and Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender. All right, they're going to make noise this season. They're going to win their division. But it's
even though their division
playoffs,
is bad.
Playoffs is their division's kind of what Brady's been facing for his entire career when he was at the Patriots.
But we ain't gonna talk about that.
But we're not gonna talk about that. But the Cowboys are now, we know what they're going to be. They're going to lock up their division, and they could very well have the first round bye. I would kind of even.
It wouldn't surprise me because they are good.
Okay, they'll be.
It wouldn't surprise me
if they got the first round bye. It wouldn't surprise me either. But then you have the Packers come back into play. Oh, COVID,
Cardinals
whatnot.
still right there.
I knew Aaron Rodgers was not going to miss a beat. Did he throw a pick? Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't his best
everybody
game.
throws picks, though.
It wasn't his best
Did
game.
you win the game is the real question.
Yeah, it wasn't his best game, but we know he was going to do. And he didn't throw a touchdown, but we knew he was going to do. Still throwing for almost 300 yards. All right.
And it was snowing.
Yeah, all right. That's pretty good. And so you shut out the Seahawks, which I didn't expect Russell Wilson to have the best game of his career or a great game either because he really kind of rushed back. So I didn't expect him to be fully on point, which we know he wasn't. But the Packers are still going to settle back in. They still have only, they're not. They've lost, 2 games now because Jordan Love really dropped the ball in one.
2 games, yeah.
So they come back in, and
honestly,
I'm not worried about the Packers. But the other interesting thing also is with Tampa Bay losing, that really shuffles a lot of stuff up. Tampa Bay's now coming in. So we kind of found a chink in their armor. And Brady's, he hasn't looked the best these past, he came off a bye. We're like, okay, Brady's really good off byes. And the week before still wasn't the best. So the NFC's now, I think this past weekend really, these past couple weeks has really kind of shook up everything. This year of football is really kind of interesting. So I think when it comes down to it, your first round bye, I think your first round bye in the NFC is probably going to end up as either the Cowboys or the Packers.
And I was kind of thinking it may be the Cardinals get the first round bye or the Cowboys.
All depends on Kyler Murray. If they go,
that's what I'm saying. That's what it come down to. The game against Seattle, the Packers in Seattle, I think the weather played a real big part in that game because I watched that from beginning to end, and people were slipping and sliding everywhere, even before the snow really started to come down. So it really wasn't a good game for either quarterback, but you saw how hard the guys on the Packers were fighting. So they wanted it a little bit more than Seattle. And Seattle's play calling on offense, dumpster fire. Yeah. It's so 2010, bro. Like, it's so predictable.
Why do you think Russell Wilson wants out? He's like,
Yeah, it's very predictable. I can tell you for a fact when they're running it and when they're throwing it immediately, but when they're lining up.
mm-hmm.
So Pete Carroll definitely has to switch that up, or you're gonna lose your star quarterback, bro. You're gonna lose your franchise
You're
quarterback.
already losing your franchise. But he's out.
Right. You know what
Russell
I'm saying?
Wilson's checked out.
I think he might be out this offseason. Especially how they starting the year off.
He's
They're
checked out.
3-6 right
Now
now.
he'll request a trade. So I mean, it's not like he can get released. Or I mean, he could get released, but
He'll have to force the issue to get released.
He's going to force his way out, and he's going to force trade wise. And Seattle can now go into rebuild. If you trade Russell Wilson, if you trade Russell Wilson, you've now accepted rebuild tank. So
tank your season.
Next, so if we look at next week, though, let's see how interesting that'll get. That's Cardinal Seahawks. Once again, that all comes down to Kyler, I think.
And they're gonna kill. They're gonna kill Seattle.
I think that all comes down to Kyler. Now, if Russell Wilson kind of goes back into what we know Russell Wilson is, the game could get kind of interesting. But Cowboys and Chiefs will be very, very interesting.
That's honestly the game of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That game got so much riding on it. The Chiefs needed a little bit more than the Cowboys. The Cowboys have to prove they can be a real deal Super Bowl team, and this would be the opportunity.
This Cowboys team just looks good, man, on both sides of the ball.
They do look good on both sides of the ball.
Looks good.
They look really good. I mean, my only thing with the Cowboys is, can you beat these playoff type teams? I've seen you lose to 2 playoff teams already this year. And been beating a lot of bad teams. Which
I think that if the Chiefs beat the Cowboys this week, I think that really, in my opinion, if the Chiefs beat arguably the best team in the NFC, I think that locks up their spot as number 1 team. They'll have the bye in the first round of the playoffs. They'll lock up Cowboys? The AFC right there.
You talking about the Chiefs?
If the Chiefs beat the Cowboys, I think that locks up the AFC.
It will still just depends because, I mean, when we talk about the Cowboys, bro, it can go either way. They can come out looking really good, or they can come out looking like they did with Denver. So it's really up in the air. I would have to see the Chiefs beat more contenders on the AFC side, and then I'll be like, okay, they might lock it up, because right now they have to play catch up. They have to really lock in and win a lot of games and not lose anymore, because you already got 4 losses.
Yeah.
So that's what's gonna hinder them. So if you take a 5th loss, like let's say you slip against the Cowboys, I don't think you're gonna get a number 1 seed or in a first round bye. Because I mean, who leads the AFC right now? Is it the Bills? I believe. Who's number 1 in the AFC? I guess I think they're tied for one right now. I think everybody got the same.
The
record.
one wild card now in the AFC is the Patriots.
Which I could see them making some noise, maybe winning the first round or the wild card game and then losing the first round. I could see something like that happening.
Yeah, that's what the key is for the AFC is you've got one wild card, and that wild card is the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. So everybody,
now they're making noise. So right now, Titans actually lead it all.
Yeah. So yes, I'm saying. But so you got teams like
Titans are going to start sliding. Tannehill's not going to.
I mean, they got some tough games coming up soon on their schedule.
So the Chiefs, the way the AFC West, those looking Broncos are becoming a dumpster fire. Raiders, they could be interesting. They'll stir some stuff up. The Chargers may make things interesting, but I think the Chiefs will lock that up. That Bills Patriots, man, that could make the AFC, the way the AFC East is looking. I mean, Belichick could really give the Bills a run for their money.
But you got to beat them again.
I will say this, if the Patriots beat the Bills again,
then they got it locked up.
Then
they will have it locked up.
Draft night is draft night. What I said draft night is happened again, and Belichick is starting his reign again, because all he needed was some weapons, not a whole lot, and a average white guy at quarterback. All right,
but the thing is, Mac Jones is a little bit better than average, though.
When I mean average, I mean athletically average. White guy at quarterback again. He's just not as big as Brady was, but he comes in, and if he can throw a good ball, which he can.
Yeah, he's accurate. He's very accurate with throwing the ball. Got a good arm too. I
It
mean,
makes
it wouldn't
things
surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me,
it makes
bro,
things
because
interesting.
Belichick is known for doing stuff like this.
All right, so let's put it this way. So let's look back now. Who do you see as the MVP now?
Before I saw the Bucks play Washington, Tom Brady had a good lead in that field because he was still putting up numbers. The team was still winning, and everybody else that was also in contention was losing to bad teams. I mean,
Or
you just said
injured?
Josh Allen. They just took a real bad loss, so they kind of got knocked out. Mahomes, they had multiple turnovers in games and been losing as well, so you knocked him out. Kyler Murray was another one that I was like, okay, he could potentially do it as well, but now you're missing games and your team is
Twice.
still looking just as good without you. And that's most valuable player, not the person that you like the most when winning games. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much how the award should go. So, I mean, if literally what's going to happen if Brady has a bounce back week this week and he looks good and everything runs smoothly, they'll be like saying, okay, Tom Brady, you're going to be the MVP again. That's pretty much how that's going to go. Now, you may get a couple of your Aaron Rodgers in the world that may say something, but Aaron Rodgers is always a good pick because Jordan Love did not look that good, even though he's been there for a while and he was a rookie or not a rookie, but he's a first time starter during the game, but he did not look good and it showed. So you need Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers would make it an MVP. So it's really up in the air, but if I was to put money on it, I'm probably going to say Tom Brady.
Yeah, if Kyler didn't, get injured, he'd probably be right there with him. But Kyler being
Yeah,
down 2 games, and will he play this week? You know,
and they're still rolling. They're rolling. It ain't like this last 2 weeks he's been out because you've been out. Your starting quarterback and your best receiver has been out, and you blew one team out and you slipped on another team. So you're 1-1 without your starter.
he still didn't practice.
So he may be out
I don't
again.
know if he's not. I don't know if he's practicing at all. But if he's not practicing at this point,
Yeah, you're gonna look
who
rusty
knows?
when you do come back.
And then D Hop's gonna come back. But I'm not worried too much about D Hop. But with how these quarterbacks are running, we're playing. If Derrick Henry was still doing what he's doing, he'd probably be the first running back to win the MVP for in a long time. Because I could see him.
And I would be cool with that because I feel like the way the NFL got it set up, only really 2 positions could possibly win it. Like your quarterback and maybe your running back. Most of the time your quarterback's gonna win it. Even though I feel like being a receiver is a tough job too, man. Receivers, they don't really get their flowers because they're like, hey, well, who threw in the ball? Well, who made the play? I hear people all the time, commentaries all the time saying, oh, that ball was thrown perfectly. We've seen professional wide receivers run perfect routes and miss the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I still got to make this catch on this beautiful ball and wherever it got placed at. So I just want receivers to get their flowers. And I feel like the amount of numbers that I've seen receivers put up and wasn't even thought about as an MVP because a quarterback had X amount of Z amount of numbers, it's not really looked at the same. So
at this point,
that's my little take on it.
At this point, now with the way the league's set up, it's become 99% a quarterback's award. I mean, it's really hard. If Derrick Henry was still doing what he's doing because he would go on a historic pace, he's on a historic pace, and the quarterback's playing how they're playing, I could really see him actually being an MVP favorite. But with him gone for the season, now it's just going to be
straight QBs.
It's just going to be quarterbacks.
Straight QBs.
Unless maybe, a weird thing happens and a defensive end out of Cleveland wins it. Who knows? Guy could win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year all at once. Who knows? It's not possible, but, whatever.
Right, I'm about to say, because he would have to put up like 25, 30 sacks, something like out of this world. It couldn't be like, even though his numbers are phenomenal right now, he would have to be like triple of that. Because I feel like if a running back has 2,000 yards in a year, how could you give the award to anybody else?
You're right.
2,000?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't get yards for how long the ball traveled in the air as part of my completion and yards gained. I have to run those 70 yards. I gotta run this 60 yards the whole way. So you put up 2,000 yards, it should be there.
Yeah.
It should be
And
yours for
I,
the
you know,
taking.
I hate it that he went down.
I hate it
I
too,
don't
yeah.
wish injuries upon anybody. You know, I hate it because you like to see historic stuff because this season could have been
Hmm.
historic. You know,
Oh yeah,
Miles
for
Garrett's
sure.
on route to beat Michael Strahan's sack record.
And he will.
Um, Derrick Henry was on track to beat Eric Dickerson's rushing record.
Hmm.
Tom Brady was on pace to beating Peyton Manning's all-time yards in a season record. Diggs is now he's on
He's like
pace
a
to get the interception record, which
yeah,
I don't
most
see why he
interceptions
couldn't.
ever.
He'll
Yeah.
probably get it. I
He's
mean, it's ridiculous. What he's
that
doing is
dude.
absolutely ridiculous.
Dude, that dude is insane.
Which is
Like that dude is
it's
insane. But that's the
absolutely
advantage that he
nuts.
has because he used to be a receiver. And when you run certain routes, it's easy to keep up with it because I used to run these same routes that you're trying to run.
Mm-hmm.
And except when he get hit with double moves. He be falling for he be biting on the double moves. Boy, I seen him catch an interception, take it to the house one play. Next possession, got hit with a double move and gave up a whole touchdown. Them double moves a mother man. Them double moves a MF man. I'm telling you. And he got cooked. Like cooked. It wasn't like he was with him the whole time. When dude came back and then took off again, it was like, oh, that's gonna be the easiest touchdown you're gonna give up all year.
Yeah.
So as long as he watch on those, I think he might be on pace to win. Well, I don't know with Myles Garrett over there. I don't know if he can get defensive player of the year, but that'll be a real tough decision. Whoever got to make that decision between the two,
Yeah. Well,
that'll be
you
tough.
got to see how it plays out, but
How it plays out, right? Because what if they both break the records?
yeah, but look at it this way. What's more impressive, right? So say a guy well, nice fancy number. Say he ends with 10 interceptions. Okay. That's pretty
Mhm.
good. It's pretty impressive. You know, you've said
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. But say a guy ends with 23, 24 sacks. Okay. Now I have to just beat a receiver. Actually, I have to beat a receiver at his own route. Okay, that's pretty impressive. You know, that happens. But even some of these have been some wide open picks, right? You know, he's gotten it. Okay. But as a defensive end, and if you watch him, if you're a defensive player of the year candidate, watch all the JJ Watts and Aaron Donalds and watch all of them. Okay. You have to not only beat the left tackle, but sometimes you'll get doubled. So now you have to beat the left tackle and left guard, or the other side, vice versa, whichever one you're going to do. And you have to beat two guys plus get to the quarterback in, say, 3 seconds.
Mhm.
Okay, if he's getting the ball out, you got to hope you get the 3 seconds. Because if they're getting the ball out 1.5, 2 seconds, or if, say in the 2-second area, you're not going to get him unless it's wide open.
Yeah, like you beat the dude
But
off a
if out of 18 games now, I've got 23, 24 sacks, I don't know. I don't know how you beat it.
Yeah, but you comparing.
I mean,
you
it's kind of hard to compare.
Yeah, because
It really is two different positions. Like I have to beat 300-pound non-athletic guys compared to you have to be there running down arguably some of the most athletic guys on the field.
Right. So let me flip it for you, Gil. Let me put some little insight on it, right? Myles Garrett single-handedly is the top 3 best defensive end in the whole NFL period. Maybe 2, but I'm gonna say 3 just to not to be so biased because I really think he the best in the league. But let's say this now. Do you know of any left tackle or right tackle, right guard that's better than Myles Garrett? Hands down. Like, one-on-one, they can block this man the whole game and hold him in the paint.
There used to be. Not anymore.
I ain't talking about. I'm talking about currently playing in the NFL right now. Who do you know that's better than him at that position, guarding against him, like one-on-one matchups?
I couldn't tell you.
There ain't none.
There was only just He's not even a tackle. It was for the Colts, Quentin Nelson. He was probably one of the only ones that could really do well because he's a beast.
Yeah. Now, okay. So boom. Now you got one guy off one team.
I think
I can live
Whitworth
with
is
that.
pretty good for the Chargers, but I think he's getting older, so I think he'd get beat.
Did
Penei
Miles
Sewell's
Garrett have a
supposed to
sack
be-
that Chargers game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they ain't that good.
Yeah, I think so.
You failed at your job
I
that
think
day.
so.
Supposed to keep your quarterback clean. So now let me flip it for you, Gib. Now there are probably 5 or 6 receivers that are better than Diggs right now.
Yeah.
In all honesty, there probably is 5 guys that are better. So let's say he gets like 15 interceptions. Because now I'm guarding all the wide receiver ones now. Keep that in mind. So now I'm guarding all the wide receiver ones, and I'm able to get 15 interceptions on these guys, plus reading the best quarterbacks in the league while I'm playing at the same time.
Now that's impressive. If you hit that like extreme
That's
of a number,
tough.
if you hit that
like
point,
that would be real tough.
if you were to hit that point, then you really got a conversation. Like if you really hit like that extreme, like really, really up there, that you're almost averaging an interception a game throughout
Per
the rest of
game.
the season, through an entire season, that's pretty impressive.
It's impressive. Now, I mean, that's so tough. I would not want to be the one to make that decision because I really don't know how hard that would be. I just know Myles Garrett is so good. I think he can have multiple sacks in the game.
Oh, I mean, he had
because who's really blocking him?
4.5 against.
That's what I'm saying.
Justin
Like,
Fields.
who's really legit blocking him?
If you watch,
if
if you watch these past few weeks, like I don't know, there's so many holding calls that the refs are like,
bro,
we just have to let it happen.
The one with the Bengals was God. That was probably the worst.
The worst thing I've ever seen.
That was the worst.
Two guys. It's not one guy. It was two guys holding at the same time.
At the same time, how y'all both holding? And he still almost beat them.
Oh yeah,
he still almost beat them.
Oh yeah,
he's a problem. That's why I'm like, dude, like that's hard to do because Myles Garrett is a freak of nature. He shouldn't even be playing football. He should be in the octagon.
Oh, I agree.
Fighting warriors. My dude is.
Hey, and in the offseason,
man.
you see him on the court. You can see him dunk.
Getting buckets, dunking on people. But disclaimer for the audience at home. Myles Garrett be playing some people that just come to open
he's playing
gyms.
some white dudes that look like
athletes.
me. Yeah, he's playing some dudes that look like me. And it's like, okay, I'm 6 foot, about 200 pounds, all right. And this guy's 6'3", 6'4", about 275, and he's like coming down the court at full speed. I'm like, nah. No.
Trust me, he not in LA.
I'm not getting it his way.
Right. He is not at Lifetime Fitness in LA with Braun, KD, when they do their little off-season run. But he at Planet Fitness behind the gym, running a little 5-on-5, giving everybody buckets.
Now,
and dunking on everybody.
I would be interested to see, just because of the physicality standpoint of a pickup game with him against like some legit NBA players. He'd probably get. I mean, he'd get cooked, especially if he was to go up again like serious guys. But I mean, if you put him inside against some of these big name guys, all right, you're not backing him down. Like with how strong he is, like when you could put centers on him, they're not backing him down. Like he's gonna I beat 300-pound men on a daily basis. Like you're not coming at me.
Right. And I mean, it's a little different when you do the open runs like they be doing in the off season with basketball because they're not really playing so much defense for real. It's all about getting a bucket. And Myles Garrett's going to have to play some defense to stop these guys from getting buckets because these dudes be looking way different than I see them in the NBA. Like, I don't even be seeing them miss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't be missing for real. So I'm like, I don't know what you would do in that situation, but Myles Garrett he's.
But I don't care how big. I mean, they're tall, but they're like. I mean, they're strong, but they're not like.
They're not like lineman strong.
Yeah. They're not even. They're just built, and they're leaner. So like he drives in the paint, and it's just like a brick wall. It's like, all right, Let's see what you got, homie.
Yep.
And he's just like throwing elbow in him. It's like,
They gonna shoot
yeah,
it.
you're going down. Oh, we'll have to.
They ain't even, they're not about to try to dunk on Myles Garrett, or they're gonna shoot it. They're gonna come down, hit it with a crossover, make them budge, and then shoot it. Yeah, that's what I would do. Cause imagine you getting your shit snatched by Myles Garrett at a pickup game. Well, you'll be on Instagram for the sweat hit the ground. Oh God. Oh God. So
all right, we've got
either way it goes,
way sidetracked at this point.
He's a freak of nature. That MVP race would be very close, but we all know it's going to be a quarterback. That's kind of why I'm like, I don't think it's fair the way they do it. But at the same time, how could you not give it to a guy who has over 30 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards passing, and the end of the year? That would be hard to say, nah, he's not the MVP.
Yeah.
How not? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, let's say Myles Garrett get 25 sacks in a year. Super impressive, right?
He'll have defensive player of the year locked up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he'll win that for sure. But like, let's say like you have somebody like Tom Brady who has 5,500 yards, let's say 60 touchdowns.
Okay, all right, let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
okay,
be looking like, all right,
so he can get to that over 5,000 yard range, but maybe he gets in the 40 touchdown range to go along with that. I mean, that's
yeah, you know, I mean, but it had to be something like crazy, because I'm thinking in my mind 25 touchdowns. I mean, 25 sacks. That has to be a record for one, like in the NFL. It is in a single season.
The record is 22 and a half.
Right, so you would already break an NFL record. You're going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and who would impact their team more than a guy who had 25 sacks?
Oh yeah, I agree, but it's
that would be hard in the past.
It's become a quarterback award, and it's also
exactly,
like what's flashy.
and that's just what it is. So I have to live with that outcome. So, in my opinion, it's going to be a quarterback. That's who's going to win the MVP.
Yeah.
so
let's all right. Let's now that we've spent a lot of time on reckless things, off topic stuff, really big time. I want to get your view on some basketball here, because it's
okay. Perfect. I'm glad you said that. Last night
I want to put something out there before you. Actually, no. Go ahead. I want to see last night because I got a thought about last night too.
So last night we had a pretty much a blockbuster game. You had the Warriors playing in Brooklyn against KD and James Harden. Now, what I would say is the Warriors are not to be played with.
Agreed.
If you're not playing defense, they're going to embarrass you. And the one thing I will say about everything else, we all know Steph Curry is great. We all know KD is great. But you know, Steph is really good when you're in Brooklyn, out of all places in the country. Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to Brooklyn. When you're in Brooklyn and they're screaming MVP for a guy on the opposing team, stop that shit. Stop that shit. I'm not here for it. It's a problem. And the thing is, I like KD. I don't really like his personality, because he'd be doing some real funny money. But as far as like him being a basketball player, he's a problem.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a problem. But to only have 19 points, bro. And this was a big game.
I think you played
the number one team in the league.
He went for like 0 for 9, I think, in the fourth quarter. And the weird thing is they had the Nets were a 2.5 point favorite over the Warriors. I was like, no.
I
went the opposite way. I was like, this is a given. Like, Warriors are winning this game.
Yeah,
I didn't even have to watch the game to know that was going to happen, because I also looked at their injury report. So Claxton, their big man, you look at their big man Claxton, which I like him, and he's a good player. All right, he's out, and then also your second shooter, because don't come out with James Harden. He's a different story this year. Joe Harris, he's done. So those two alone, I mean, those are two key players. So now everything has to go through KD, because James Harden's fat and he's a glorified role player right now. He's not an all-star. He's not what he was, because he's 10. How long has he been in the league? 10, 12 years now?
Yeah, all right, he's going on year 11 or 12.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks, all right? So James Harden now, he cannot play without drawing fouls, so he can't adjust to his game. Trae Young, I give him a lot of hell for, the way he plays, but Trae Young's dropping 24 a game now because he's only been in the league a few years, and he's like, okay, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. I can adapt. So some of these young guys, and Steph, he's an MVP, multiple-time MVP and champion. Anyway, He just he adapted. James Harden still hasn't adapted, and he can't get off the buffet. All right, he can't stop eating pizza. All right, man's fat. I don't care what anybody says. All right, the Nets, as it stands now, people will probably get mad at me and talk some mad smack to me. The Nets are a one man team, and that team is going to go as far as KD will take them.
And
That's
that's
it.
not saying a lot. You know,
That's
that's
it.
not saying a lot because
James
KD looked
Harden's
good in the
not.
first
James
half.
Harden's not unless they make a trade and get rid of Kyrie to go somewhere, which it's really going to be hard to get rid of him because a lot of GMs. I think I heard that no GM like wants him. They don't even want to take the risk of him. All right,
It's because
so
he won't get vaccinated. You
well,
can't get
he's
a guy
also.
that you
I
can't
mean,
play
he's also been drama filled. He's always been drama
before
filled,
then.
really. So I mean, on top of the vaccinated thing, okay. If he goes outside of Brooklyn, now I only have 2 cities for sure. I can't. Well, three. I can't play at the Knicks. I can't play at the Nets, and I can't play at the Warriors. Okay, if I'm anywhere else in the West or I'm anywhere in the East, for sure, it's like okay. If I'm in a good team, that's manageable. We can live without that. Especially if
Right.
it's a West team. But I think in the playoffs, he can now play in those cities. So I don't understand how that works. I heard that, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But that team goes as far as that team is now to the point of what this is gonna be a stretch, but like what LeBron teams were with the Cavs, and Cavs only went as far as LeBron went. Okay, so right now KD is going to take that Brooklyn team as far as he can, but if KD goes down, they're done. James Harden's not
but
carrying anything. And now, if you look in the East, say we start the East in the playoffs right now, I'm taking Miami and I'm taking Chicago over the Nets any day of the week. Those two for
in a
sure.
7-game series.
Yes. Those two for sure I'm taking, and you could even argue Philly. I mean, Philly and Milwaukee, for some reason, are not looking the way they were. But right now, if we were to start it today, the series starts tomorrow. All right. I'm taking the Heat over the Nets for sure. No problem. No questions
That's
asked.
real. It's real tough for me to agree with that. Only
It's
because
KD. Like
when
literally. I mean, tell me. So you have to put a defender on KD. All right. KD will get you when it comes to the playoffs and when he's cooking. I got 30 to 50. Okay. So let's put him against the Heat. Right. All right. So I mean that is just an all around like team ball. Jimmy buckets.
they do play. I mean, they do play well together.
Bam. Kyle Lowry. Tyler Hero he's killing it right now. Duncan Robinson's a knockdown shooter. I mean, the whole team is built to play well. Miami is a good team, and I think they're really going to run the East. If you go and look at Chicago right now is a well-oiled machine. I mean,
They play well
They don't
together.
seem like they can be stopped.
They just play good together.
And I just think they would steamroll. I mean, KD's not going to go down without a fight. I mean, we saw he did that last year. He was one. He was a couple toenails too long of with it being a 3-point shot, right?
Size 15.
So
It's ridiculous.
But going into it, I mean, KD's only going to be able to carry you so far, and that Chicago team is they're steamrolling. I don't care what anybody says of the Hawks. Don't come at me with the Hawks. I don't care. Once again, they're going to go as far as Trae Young's going to take them. Once again,
They'll make the playoffs.
They'll make the playoffs. Is that saying they're bad? No, their team's good. John Collins and DeAndre Hunter, they're good players.
Yeah, they have
But
weapons.
as I was telling somebody today, I was telling my boss today, I said, look, if the Bulls match up against the Hawks in the playoffs, this is what's going to happen if the Bulls match up, right? So all we have to do is look down low, all right? Vucevic healthy. He can play down low. He can bang down low, or he can step all the way out and shoot, okay? So unless you're going to run a zone, which you can't, because if you've got everybody on the, all starting 5 can shoot, well, I have to now respect everything, okay? So Vucevic then goes in. If they run Capella, he now splits out. He's got to respect the shot. I got a dunk contest winning at the 2 guard. He's coming in as Boomtown. All right. Caruso. Lonzo Ball. Goodness. He's out here sniping. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sniping. DeMar, he started shooting. He started getting his shot together, but he's still good in the paint. He's still good mid range on him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean that right there. Caruso's coming off the bench. He's playing great. That team's a well-oiled machine. All right, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Washington, I think they're going to fall off, but they look good right now. They look good right now. It's the beginning of the season. I'm putting the Nets past
You
that.
gotta go check. You gotta go check one of them Washington Wizard games out, bro.
I'll
They
respect
actually
it.
play a lot better than you think. I mean, I believe the Wizards beat the Bulls, so they play well together, bro. Because you gotta think about it now. Now I don't have Westbrook dominating the ball. Bradley Beal can literally get a bucket on anybody in the league. Period.
True.
Don't care who you are. And then now he has the role players that actually can go get their own bucket, and they look good. I mean, they're playing right now as we speak, and they're rolling right now. So they look pretty good. I wanted to go back to that Nets conversation you was talking about. I'm gonna bring it on back. So when we're talking about playoff runs, bro, I always look at it like this. I look at it as 2-on-2. Who the best two players on each team? If we were at a 2-on-2 right now, who would win that series? That's how I look at every series, no matter what. That's how I pick and choose who I think is going to win the series, debating on that. Because your role players, you may have a one role player go off and give you more buckets than their average points per game, but they're not doing that all night. And people adjust to people like that, getting all them buckets like that. That's why the Heat ran out of gas when LeBron won the bubble, because you had Tyler Hero and Duncan, and once them dudes ran out of fuel, I mean, you got to think about it. Jimmy Butler gave you 45 points and you only won by like 5. And he was burnt out just to get knocked out and lose the whole finals the very next game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like in that sense. And there's nobody on the East I think is better than KD. Period.
No, but I've got one of the best perimeter defenders in the East that can guard KD.
Who?
Jimmy Butler.
Who?
Jimmy Butler.
Who?
Jimmy Buckets.
No. Jimmy, but I will give you that. Jimmy Bucket will make it hard.
All I need him to do is slow him down, because then if I can
slowing down KD.
if I can just get in his way, I can slow him down. This is how it's going to be.
KD has to miss shots for you to
if I can slow him down and make him have to use the rest of his team consistently to help me, I'll beat you.
You got to double him. Because
until I see Houston James Harden off of the buffet, actually with, getting to conditioning again and making him, let's get us back into the 25 point, 10 assists, 8 to 10 assists consistently that we know you've done in the past. Until I see that, I have no faith in the Nets. His second best player is not playing the way James Harden should be playing right now.
Yeah, and that's the reason why.
And you've got no Kyrie, so now I legitimately have. I've got no faith in James Harden as it stands right now. Now we're in the beginning of the season, all right? So things could change. But right now, I've got no faith in James Harden. I've got faith in KD and KD, and that's enough, as you could say. But there's one here that I want to dial back to also. Let's come back to your Wizards comment here. And there was this little player, his name was Westbrook. And now we see where he's transplanted to. All right?
Doing the same things.
Looking like shit. And if
I was never happy about having him.
I am LeBron James, I keep getting banged up. I'm upset. I can't carry a team like I used to, which I hate seeing. The Iron Man we've seen for 19 years now is now, these past 2 years actually, you could argue the entire time he's been in LA is starting to get these injuries, right? So I hate to see it, but we knew the time was coming. Anyway, the guy who's supposed to be able to run the offense when I'm not out there keeps turning the ball over and is not doing what I was expecting him to do. So if I'm LeBron James and the GM LeBron James, by the time the trade deadline comes up, if Westbrook has not turned this around, he's got to go. He's out.
And he will. Because
but
LeBron don't care about
the hardest part's going to be is who can he get in return and who's going to eat that contract. Because somebody's got to take how he's playing Somebody has to take $44 million, and you're going to also get a guy who doesn't want to be. Right now, he's in the hometown, so he's where he wants to be. And now
Man,
I'm going to ship him off somewhere where he don't
man,
want to be.
there's multiple places that he can go to that'll take him right now. Because yeah, he has a lot of turnovers, but you can cut the turnovers down. I just don't. I mean, I like Westbrook as a player when he plays for other teams. I don't like him on my team. It don't look right. He's doing too much. He's moving too crazy. And I'm like, dude, you gotta fix this jump shot, bro. You have to. This
The
is a shooter's league now. If you're not even making the mid range and they're backing up 10 feet from you and they're at the block and you're at the top of the key, that's a problem. You're no threat. You just a slasher.
I'm liking how AD's playing, so that's good. AD's killing
I
him.
mean, AD's playing good too, but you still need the help. Ain't no point of AD playing good and y'all getting knocked off. Like we lost yesterday, and AD looked good once again, but you're taking L's. You're taking L's, and you're having these overtime wins and coming down to the money with bad teams.
Yeah.
So you really need LeBron a lot more than I thought y'all were going to need LeBron. I really need them to really like kind of get that part together, kind of lock in because it's gonna start to get ugly in the West, and you don't want to be too low when things start to get crucial.
He has to. The thing that has to happen right now for the Lakers team is they need another scorer. And Westbrook is not doing the scoring that we know he can do. And right now, he needs somebody like Dame or even Kyrie.
See, but you would
So
have
they're
to
not
trade
going to.
him to
But
get
the
a player
also
like that.
problem is I don't have, outside of Westbrook, I don't have much to give. Lakers really don't have any draft picks. LeBron got rid of all those.
I
LeBron got
mean,
rid of all those.
what you got to do is have the guys that's surrounding you play well, so people see their value, and then they'll be able to make moves based off of that.
All right.
Because nowadays, guys ain't even going off draft picks for real. Guys are getting college, going, staying for 1 year, and leaving. You don't even know which one of these dudes are going to be for real good in the next couple of years.
All right. If you're a GM, right, looking
Mm-hmm.
from the outside in, if you're a
Mm-hmm.
GM and this trade comes across your board, do you take it? Do you
For
trade
Westbrook,
Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons?
no. I essentially have the same person. Neither one can shoot. Both are weird. Both have little attitude issues. No. They're the
But
same person.
Ben Simmons can play better defense. He's taller. He is younger. He's just as good a passer. He's a better rebounder. He can play underneath. He can play down low. Yeah, he doesn't have a shot, but LeBron will be like, hey, look, dude, if you want to play on my team, you're going to have to shoot, or else I'll trade you also. I don't really care. And he's a clutch sports player. You bring him to
So
LA,
what?
you bring him in here, he'll get him to shoot,
send that
and
man
he'll
to
get him to shoot.
Boston.
Now I can get him to score. I can get him to be setting up. If I that's all you need is him to get a respectable jump shot.
See, the thing is, you just named a bunch of stuff that the Lakers don't need. We don't need a guy playing low. We don't
You
need a
need
guy to play
defense.
defense. We need the team to play defense, not one individual person. One individual person can't guard five. We need the team to play defense.
But a
Yeah.
6'10" point guard that I could play anywhere playing defense would be pretty beneficial compared to.
Do you realize they lost the Eastern Conference Finals because this dude was scared to shoot?
Oh, I know.
So that don't do nothing for me. If I give you the ball, you're literally turning down wide open dunks because a Trey Young is underneath you, and you're
But
throwing it away.
I also, if you're looking at it, not in this instance, but if you're looking at it going forward, I also now will have a second building block because LeBron's going to go at some point. People even keep saying he's going to go back to the Cavs if they draft Bronny. But
He's not going back to the
Ben
Cavs.
Simmons and AD together, you could grow. I guarantee Clutch Sports, LeBron James, he's going to be like, look, dude, he's going to sit him down. He's going to be like, look, dude, look, I know you got mental problem issues. All right, I got you. It's all right. We'll make it happen. All right. I got you paid. My boy Rich got you paid. All right, we good to go. But if you want to be on my team, you got to shoot the ball, or else in the offseason you're getting traded. Plain and simple.
If I'm
I
the
will
GM,
trade you. I don't care. When it comes to basketball, there are no friendships. It's only business. And that's exactly what's going to happen to Westbrook. But there's only a couple players that will equal out the contract that you can eat and be able to handle it. I don't know. It'll be difficult.
He can stay in Philly, bro. I don't even like the way that sounds. Like Ben Simmons he not garbage because nobody in the NBA is garbage, but he not that guy, bro. And
Take
I've been
his
telling people that.
all right. Don't focus on everything else. All right, now I know this is a shooting league. All right, so there's a key piece. All right,
that's the debate right there.
All right,
sir.
put a pause on. Don't look at shooting right now. Okay, which I know, like I see, it's hard to do. All right, so remove jump shots and 3-pointers, but you still have scoring. Look at your scoring. Look at your defense, and look at your passing. Look at your physicality, and tell me one other player that could do that. That's built like that can do that.
Ben Simmons don't even average 20 points.
If he gets a jumper,
average 20 points. How you gonna get a jumper when you're not even trying to work on your jumper and you're scared of the jump? I'm tired of seeing him in the offseason shoot the lights out at these little open runs and then come to the league and then don't do any of that things that he was doing in the gym. It's like, bro, what are you practicing on? You're just practicing to beat guys that are no longer in the NBA or can't make it to the NBA just to go to a real game and not do anything you were working on the whole all season. Man, gone with that because Ben Simmons is not that guy. Gone with that. What needs to happen is they need to send Ben Simmons to Boston and give Philly Jaylen Brown. I would love that. Plus a pick. I would love that for Philly.
No, if I'm the Lakers, I'd take Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, me too. But we should have got Buddy Hield instead of Westbrook, and we should have got DeMarson instead of Westbrook. But that's another time. That's another story for another time that we'll deal with next time we get there.
Agreed.
We'll be looking at a totally different team right now. If you got everybody else, but instead of having Westbrook, we had DeMarson or Buddy Hield, watch what I tell you. It'll be a whole different story. Right? They would be clicking right now without LeBron. I guarantee it. So that's my NBA take. That's all I got for you, my boy.
We've run a little long. Hot. This one's definitely been interesting. We got real sidetracked there for a little bit.
Hey man, that's what it's about, man. Let's let everybody know we don't go off no script. we average guys, you know what I'm saying? You don't see us on ESPN not yet, at least.
That's why nowhere in ESPN or anywhere you're gonna hear about Myles Garrett bodying up somebody
at LA Fitness.
At LA Fitness. But next week, when we talk and when you guys listen, hopefully we'll be happier because Cleveland will win. Fans. The Falcons will pull off an upset. They'll avenge they'll avenge the Browns, right? We'll be happy there because the Falcons will win. And then Cleveland will come in and they'll hobble their way to a victory over a 0-win team, which I am legitimately afraid that we can lose. We'll come in. We'll be happy. We'll talk about more NBA stuff. Always. We'll see what LeBron can do. And we'll see if within a week, if James Harden can change my mind, which he's not going to. But we can see what he can do in a week. Maybe he'll go off for a few triple-doubles. Who knows? And I'll be like, oh, okay.
Okay, he's back.
Or then it's going to keep happening. And I'll be like, it's a one-man team. It's a one-man team in Brooklyn. Keep watching week by week. It's a one-man team. Chicago's a well-oiled machine, and Miami's a coming.
Oh, I do like Miami though. Don't get it twisted. I do like Miami. I would hate for Miami to meet the Nets early in the playoffs. It would not be pretty. Miami could still win because they got a better team, but I can never count KD out. That's like counting Steph out. It's hard to do. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that. Can I say Miami in 7?
I mean, you can.
And it may be Nets in 5. It really just depends on how everything is looking.
Absolutely
I
not.
don't have, bro. Like I'm telling you, listen. Next week, tune in, guys. Next week, it's gonna get real interesting.
When Joe Harris
Trust me.
is my second best player, then we're gonna have issues.
Stop with this Joe Harris nonsense. Man,
Oh,
take me
Lord.
out, man. Take
All
me out.
right,
I can't do it no
people,
more.
we love you. We'll be back, but next week we'll probably be happier because we're gonna get some dubs. We're put in the universe. James Harden needs to lose some weight, and that's all we'll say about that. Lay off the pizza, buddy, just like Zion needs to lay off the gumbo. All right. So next week we got it. We'll see you. We're here. We'll see you then. Jay,
My brother. Later.
adios.
Deuces.